Alright, so here's one from Amy from the Bemidji paper on a marathon. And a nice way that she was able to get a couple of starts on the page for those, for the marathon. I think that's an effective way of doing that. She's got a nice main photo, but then she's also got the winners of the men's and women's marathon groups. So nice work, Amy, and nice color tying everything together as well. This is one of Cindy's for the Detroit Lakes Tribune, and a nice way of pulling in that main photo. Not a super exciting photo there, but she's got some cutout and the gentleman's head tucked over the top of the line in the flag there, and then pulling some of the red throughout the page, both in the centerpiece story and the vote icon in the down page story here. A nice, I like the line around this centerpiece story, the text box there. Nicely done, Cindy. Here we've got one from Brandon. What is it? This is one from Duluth, and just a great photo for one thing that he got to play with, and nice use of photos throughout the page, drawing your eye down the page with several different photos, and the nice little shaded info box with the team's logos there as well. It's just a nice little touch there. Nicely done, Brandon. This is one of Jenny's for Duluth, for the business cover, and on a brewery there. Great photos. She's just got a little bit of extra white space in the CP there. Give it just a little bit of breathing room. Looks like she didn't get a lot of art, so so the bottom portion got a little bit gray, but just giving that little bit of extra space on the sides of the centerpiece text there really helps it breathe just a little bit. And also even just with her varying of the weights on her headline here, with the heavier, thicker first word and then that lighter font for the second word in the headline really helps. Just give it a little bit of air. Here we've got one from Addie, also for Duluth. And really nice package here with great art for the centerpiece. She's got some nice smaller entries along the side, but she was able to really play up this centerpiece with the three pieces of art and the story just kind of winding its way down in between those photos. So really nicely done. Really, just a really nice clean package there. And again, she just gave it a little bit of extra air, just that extra 9 points or a pica of space on the sides there gives it a little bit of extra. Really, just when you give it that little bit of extra space, it kind of sets it off from the rest of the page, which is nice. Here we've got another one from Brandon, also for Duluth. And let's see here, zoom out a little bit. And again, nice play of photos and stories right down the page, bringing your eye down the page. We don't have bumping heads, we don't have bumping art, so it's it just really pulls you all the way down the page, so you want to look at every element. Nicely done, Brandon. And here's one of Cindy's as well. Also, this one's for Purim, and you know, we don't get a lot of black and white front page art, and the way she used this with the color in the story package there and pulling it all the way up into the headline and the Purim of the Purim focus really ties everything together and really makes that art stand out. It makes it really striking, and you know, I think this is probably just a piece of stock art, but it really really works well. Yep, stock photo, but she really played it up so that it works really well, especially for this. It's a story on domestic violence, pulling in the purple that's a symbol of or fighting domestic violence. So just a really nice centerpiece there. Well done, Cindy. Here's one of Jackie's for the forum. On the sports page here, guys in football. And we've always got these columnists every Saturday with their 2 columns for the game days. So it's nice to see different ways that the different designers have played those, and she was able to kind of split them up with that nice vertical photo. So well done. And again, you know, I kind of like a dotted line every once in a while, and I think that kind of pulls things together nicely. Very nice work, Jackie. And here we've got one for that Mindy did for the forum. And as she said, even though the concert was canceled the day of the concert, the page sure looked good. Great use of the circles here. It really draws your eye in. You know, those band photos, a lot of times they can be really, they get really creative with their band photos sometimes. They're sometimes really kooky colors or really odd poses. And she really pulled this all together quite well for this page. So nicely done, Mindy. You would have thought that they might have thought that there might be bad weather in October in North Dakota and not scheduled an outdoor concert, but yeah. Here we've got one from Jenny. This is a front page for the forum. And this is just this really has elements that just pull you right down the page as well. You've got a really striking teaser up at the top and the flag here. We've got a great main photo. She pulled this together well with when they're not really columns, but we always have this reporter's face with it. She was a local broadcaster for years, and so when she's got front page stories, they run her like a column sig with her, which is a little different than every other reporter, every other paper, but she made it all work together, you know, and she didn't have an awful lot of space there for that centerpiece package, and it looks like she was trying to get some stuff above the fold and did that well. So nicely done, Jenny. Here's another one of Jackie's for the forum, and yet again, you know, it's football season in Fargo, so we've got Bison football. You will see yellow and green in every form possible over the next few months. So great play of this photo. It's a fun photo, so she played it up nice and big. Again, we've got the 2 columnists on game day there. So nicely done. It's always always fun to just see how many different ways we can play green and yellow bison photos throughout the season. Alright, and this is one of Marcy's for Grand Forks travel page. This is one that we kind of missed in the mix a couple of months ago, and so she brought this one back. And this is one, she said that she was given this piece of art, and I believe this might have been one of, let's see, nope, it's just a stock art piece. But then she used that, she took elements of that main piece and used them on both the cover and the jump. She kind of tinkered around with them and used them as additional art for the package, because it would have been a pretty gray bottom half of that page if she had just gone with the one piece of art that she had been given. So she, again, we've got the dotted line, and used a lot of red in the page, and then she's got her O's are tires from the car, so really tied everything together. She spent some time on that. I see that peeking down at the bottom there, she's even got the O's, it looks like. Oh, can I get down that far? Or can I make the...
Fingers and hit hide.
There. If you look at the jump line, she's even got the tire in the little O of the jump line. So, nicely done, Marcy. And here is one of Tanner's for Grand Forks. We've got, I'm thinking this PDF maybe didn't work quite right. I'm betting that there was text up in this one, and I don't know if it's just still loading. But I like that the way he pulled the green into the headline, and again boxing in the story as well. When you've got one piece of art, even putting a colored box around your story can help bring a little bit of interest to the rest of your page. So if you had just left it as a straight story with no color down in that text portion of the centerpiece, it would have been a pretty gray page. So yeah, just that little touch really made a huge difference there. So nicely done, Tanner. Here we've got one from Angie for Mitchell, and let me zoom out a little here. And great art again, and we've got your eye being drawn down the page kind of diagonally here with your art elements. And we've got the nice little breakout, and did the shaded box there to break up some of that text along the side, so that really worked well. And she's got a larger teaser up at the top as well, so nicely done, Angie. Here's one of Lauren's, and how can you not love a picture of a little kid in a pumpkin patch? Those are some of the best photos, I think. And a kid voting in a pumpkin, I think. I don't know how that is a thing, but that's pretty cool. So just a really fun page there with the little guy peeking his head up up into the flag of the Enterprise there, and again, nice photos pulling you all the way down the page. Well done, Lauren. Here's one of Megan's pages for Red Wing. And zoom out a little bit here. And this is a fun treatment of this photo with the with the cutout of the light pole, excuse me, as your centerpiece art. I would imagine that that was probably not an exciting photo before it was cut out. So I think, you know, sometimes our cutouts can kind of detract from photos, but I think this probably made it stand out quite a bit more. So, well done, and I bet that took a bit of time there, pulling out or cutting out the little tendrils of the metal work in that lamp post. So, well done, Megan. Here is a Red Wing page from Tim. There we go. And we've got kind of a down page centerpiece almost on this page. Really nicely packaged together. Like how we created the background here. Sort of a tombstone-y looking shape here. Digging that. And especially with old stock art, I think you did a really nice job with that. So nicely done, Tim. All right, that is all of our kudos. I just wanted to, so if you guys all read my Tuesday morning note, you know that the forum has gone to its new CMS, and initially I thought, okay, well, just the forum is switching over. It really won't affect anybody except those doing forum pages. But obviously that is not the case, because any stories that are being created by the forum and being pushed out to the rest of the network are going to be a little bit different. And all of the stories that are coming directly from the forum news service are also being pushed out in this same way. So I just wanted to show you guys quickly how these are looking different right now. So as I said in that note, rather than, on our end, things are not changing a lot. For the folks who are here in the building, with the reporters, they're dealing with a lot of changes. And all of you are gonna see these changes over the next coming months or year. I don't know how long it's gonna take to roll this out to the entire company. They started with the forum, but eventually the whole company will get this. But, so like I said, our end, we're not seeing huge changes, but when you see a link on the forum budget or the FNS budget, when you open it up, oh, this is an old one, sorry.
You might have to find a template for it.
Thank you.
Or more.
Okay, that one's got mug shots. Alright, so you notice that when I click on that, rather than it opening up the Google document with the story, it's opening a folder. That folder contains the Google document with the story in it, but we no longer have our photo links in that doc. Instead, they're here in this folder along with the story. So, like I said, not an enormous change, but it is a little bit different. We are trying to get everybody trained to put notes in the Google Docs saying, Sarah's shaking her head. It's slow going on this, but we're trying to get them to do notes of, how they want this art. Clearly these are headshots, so they should have put 2 mugs. They did put it on the budget that there were mugs, so we're getting it somewhere there, but we're working on that. Also, you'll notice because those links are not in the Google Doc, we no longer have that priority of photos because we don't have a list. So we're asking editors to put that in the Google document. They should have a note with what are their priority photos, so that we know which should be the main photo and on down the line. They're also working out some kinks with the formatting. You know, we usually have, if there's a subhead, it would be formatted as heading 1. They have heading 1 over on their side in Q, which is the new CMS, but it is not translating into heading 1 on our side, so they're still trying to work that out. As a result of that, we are not doing any sports that has any agate through the new system. We're still using Google over here for that, because clearly we are not going to be formatting agate on the page, because that would be a nightmare. So we're still kind of in between worlds here. So I did also want you to see, Sarah had noted that when you open your photo, if you double click on it, it's not opening in a separate window. So I know that, like, when I have a bunch of photos with a story, I like to open all of them and be sending them to Photoshop, processing them, and then I like to have all of those windows open so that I can go back and get my cut lines. It's a little bit tougher. Like Sarah said, she would keep, she'd have that photo open and then go to close the photo and close the doc instead. So, or the folder instead. So it was creating issues for her. So I asked Erin Vasika for some tips on how we can get those open in a new tab for you, if you work that way. So there are 3 different ways you can do it. If you are in your folder and go up into here and view details, if you don't need to have it open in a separate tab, like I said, you go to those 3 dots, go to view details, go to details here, and then if you scroll down, you've got your photo description. So this is his name. And then you can scroll through and you've got the other guy here. Let's see, if you would like, and then there are 2 different ways of opening it in a tab. If you want to just right click, you can go to get shareable link, do a Control T, which is tab, a new tab, and then paste Control V, that URL in. That would pull it up. I feel like that's a little bit clunky, but if that works for you, go for it. If not, you can, let's see, go back and
You have to open it first?
yeah, open it like this, you know, double click, go here, and open a new window. So that's bringing up your tab. I think that's probably the closest to what we used to have. But like I said, it's really just finding whatever is most comfortable for you. All of these will work, and then again, you would just hit your D and it brings up your details there if you want. So
I will say too, with the photos, some of them I've noticed in like the photo name, they'll put the order they want them in. So
Okay.
it'll be like the slug with 1
Yep.
and then 2.
yeah.
So I have been seeing that.
Okay,
So.
yep, and that's something that we talked with the editors about as well, so, just making sure that they're numbering those photos in the order that they want, so. So, definitely still working out a fair number of kinks on all of this, but, if you guys get stories that are linked from FNS or from the forum, you are going to start seeing those folders. An easy way of seeing immediately whether you've got a new photo or not, or a new file is, oh shoot.
Oh, Okay, if you right click and hit open with Google Docs, it will make a Google Doc. It will embed the photo into that or just make a plain Google Doc, so you're gonna need to delete that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna remove this one. So yeah, like Sarah said, she had done this. She made a copy, is that what you did?
Open with.
Oh, yes, if you do the
And
open
then
with
Google
Google
Docs.
Docs, it's
Yeah.
going to create a new document within that folder and embed, and either just create the new doc or sometimes embed that photo in
Into
that
it, yeah.
document, so don't do it that way. Like I said, I think, the double click, what was it?
The dots.
Yep, double click dots and then open in new window is probably the quickest one there. Like I was gonna say is one quick way, this is different though. This is actually a 4.3 doc. Most of the Google Docs that we've been getting have been version 5.0, so immediately when you would open them, you could see that it was different, that it was one of the new versions, but this one is an older one, so I don't know exactly what they did there. So, if you're running into trouble, we've had some issues where there have been links that went bad. Sarah ran into a few. I think that what happened was, what they have to do is they download the story from Q, that new CMS, and then they have to move it into a publishing folder. Like for the forum, they might have features published and sports published and news published. They're moving it into that published folder and then linking it on the budget. I think initially the first day they were sometimes just downloading it, linking it, and then moving it, which was breaking the link, and it didn't work for us. So if you're seeing things like that, reach out to the FCC copy desk and the hub managers. We're trying to keep a list of issues that we're running into. There's also a form that we can do for bugs that we're finding as well. So we're trying to get it better before it rolls out to all of the rest of the company, because good Lord, if we had all 30-some newspapers using this right now, it would be pretty traumatic, but as it is right now, it's not too painful for us. So just two more things. I've seen this a number of times recently in the last week or two. Be sure that if you've got briefs that are going to stand alone, make sure that you're using like the head bold or paragraph style rather than the subhead style, the sports subhead. You should not leave briefs do not use the briefs head as a standalone head. If you're going to use the briefs head, it needs to have that standing head above it. The briefs head was never meant as a standalone headline, so yeah. The other thing is be cautious when you guys are working on like comics pages and you're trimming down some of those columns, especially like Annie's mailbox and some of those other Q&A sorts of things. A couple of weeks ago we had an instance where we trimmed a column, and the column the day before had said, look for more on this topic tomorrow. Well, that second day we needed to trim the column, and then readers were upset because there wasn't more about that topic in that day's thing. I know that even long before the hub, I had totally done things like that where, or even when, especially back in the day when Annie was actually still writing it, she would come back to letters months later, this is in regards to blah, blah, blah's letter. Well, sometimes we didn't run that first one, and so, it's kind of tough to keep track of. So the copy desk is going to, when they run into things like that, if they see wording in the column that is referring to another column in the past or future, they're going to put some notes in the notes field just so we know what's going on there, so that we don't accidentally cut that portion, so we don't upset the readers, because those Dear Annie people are very passionate about their columns. So I get it if you're kind of following along and then the next day it's missing. I get it. So anyway, so and the same with once in a while we run into like Annie's mailboxes. Annie is the one I'm most familiar with, where they say, "Will you reprint this beautiful poem from 30 years ago? I've kept it in my wallet for the last 30 years and I need a new copy," and so they reprint it. So be sure that you don't cut up, we sometimes are trimming off chunks of those columns. Make sure that if it's, a column with a poem or some reprint of something, make sure that we're not cutting that out. So give a quick glance when you're doing the trimming on those things so that we're not missing out on important bits there. I think that is it. We are gearing up for election night. I sent out an email to everybody, or all of the editors today, asking them for their election night plans. There's going to be some late deadlines. I've already heard of one that they want to push their deadline back to 2 a.m. So it's awful. So we will likely be looking for a few volunteers to stay later that night. Joe is going to come in for an extra hand. We might be looking for some people to switch schedules around. Some of the folks who normally have Tuesdays off, we might be asking if you might be willing to come in and switch for another day off, things like that. Right now we are fully staffed, plus we've got Joe, but as we get more information from the editors on what exactly they're planning, we may need a little bit more help, because election night is a scramble. But as Joe said, there is usually free pizza, so it totally makes it all worth it. So, all right, I think that is it for today. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll get back to work. Thanks.